and Matthew Maude.
Oh, wow.
Joining us on stage, we have some of the people you've seen on the screen this evening: Tony Fadell, Megan Smith, Joanna Hoffman, Marc Porat, Kevin Lynch, and Andy Hertzfeld. It's an honour to be on stage with you all.
Can I just jump in just real quick?
Sure, you made the film.
Can I just ask all of the crew that worked on the film to just stand for me, please? There's about 12 people stood up in this room. I'm not sure why John Jim is standing all around. But yeah, there's 12 people that are here and they made this film. So thank you for the whole of my heart. And then, can I then also ask all of the magicians in the room to stand up, and all those that have worked on the partner teams over the course of the life of the magic.
Look around, look at some of the people that created the picture. So I'm going to start with you, Sarah. As a voracious consumer of stories about legendary businesses and innovators, the likes of some of the people we've seen on screen today, I cannot believe that this story has remained untold for so long. Can you tell us how the story of General Magic came about?
How I started to make the film.
Yes.
So I experienced myself what felt like a catastrophic failure of a startup I was involved in. It started this odyssey of trying to understand what failure meant in the creation of big ideas. And at the same time, a very dear friend of ours died, who was a general magician, Tribeca, and I thought, I need to capture these stories. And I was lucky enough to work at General Magic 25 years ago and was part of the crew that shot the original footage. So all those things came together and I thought, I have to do this, and the time is now.
And Matt, you must have been about 5 when the story of General Magic began, not to give away your age. What was it that drew you to this project, given a lot of the names of people in the film you probably wouldn't have been familiar with?
I think first, Sarah. Sarah's a phenomenal filmmaker, and just the opportunity to kind of work with Sarah was amazing. When you come into work on a documentary, there's kind of lots of different ways of doing it, but Sarah had the incredible idea that you have to write a documentary as if it's a fiction film, and we scripted it in that way, and having a 3-act structure. So yeah, first it was Sarah. But secondly, I'm not a technologist. I'm not particularly interested in technology. I
think that might be the wrong room for that, man.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all right. I'm aware. I'll get lynched, not by Kevin. I thought it was very interesting before I started to work on the film that if you look across Silicon Valley as a kind of lay person who's not a technologist, all you see is maybe 3 or 4 names. And these companies are personified by just one person. You know, Bill Gates is Microsoft, Mark Zuckerberg is Facebook. And there's this huge mystification that surrounds these individuals that doesn't feel real. 8,000 people, 20,000 people who all work at these companies can't just be personified by one person. And so for me to be able to work on a film where I get to meet these ordinary people doing extraordinary things and showing the emotions that are behind the technologies that we all use, all the things that you guys had to learn and go through and grow through. And, that for me was just an amazing opportunity, and General Magic was an amazing way of being able to tell that story.
And it was amazing for all of us being in the audience to watch it, let me tell you. I'm going to kick off with a question that I'm going to ask everybody, and then I've got a few specific ones. What's your abiding memory of General Magic? I guess, Tony, we'll start with you. What is it about those experiences that you bring into your life today?
Well, General Magic to me, besides the failure thing that we've talked about, is really about passing it on, right? Steve and the Mac team passed it on to us at General Magic, and then we passed it on to a whole set of people, and hopefully that continues. And so for me, it's really about that taking the artistry, taking the craftsmanship, and understanding how it's done, and then making sure the next generations have that to continue to pass it along. And I think that's, and obviously all the friendships and all the other things that came with it, but that for me is the biggest.
Amazing. Megan, can I ask you the same question?
Yeah, I think it relates in the similar way, and it's not the technology, it's the who. the people do all of this, and they always have. And like Tony and I were in the hardware team, you were bridging into software. Amy's here. We saw Wendell and Brian and Leland and Marie and all this amazing, Walt and Wendell worked at Fairchild, which is the kind of general magic for Intel, right? And so it's this apprentice journey mastery that we've always had in our country. And actually, having served in the White House, it's such an important part of our country. It's this entrepreneurial spirit that we have. And so at General Magic, it's this team, and it's about love, and about passion, and about curiosity, and about giving, and about service. And I love to work, like I said in the film, about technologies that matter, that impact people. And so late at night, the images that you guys showed, it's so beautiful to work late at night with each other. And these crazy things that happen, and the creativity, sometimes the musician is called the alpha state. It's the same kind of creativity as you see in other places.
Joanna, to you.
Well, all of the above, but also I wanted to call out a partner of ours, Sony, actually, who had they really had the spirit, they had the soul, and alas, I think we took them down with us, but which I feel extremely badly about. But their team, I think, was spiritually closest to us, and I do recall our cooperation with them and work with them with greatest fondness. One thing I have to say is the people, and this was a wonderful group of people, brilliant people who were also unbelievably decent and kind human beings to each other and to others that they've encountered. So I feel just blessed in this day and age to have worked with people who exhibited the best of humanity. So that's what I remember.
Andy, if you could share your thoughts.
Just like everyone else, it's about people, I think, first, but also about values. When I was really just a kid, learning values from my heroes, Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs, and then passing on those values to the next generation of developers. It's just a great set of values, trying to do the best thing you can, work as hard as you can to make the world a better place.
Marc.
I think my answer is embodied by the film that we just saw. It was hard. Personally, it was hard for me to watch it, and lots and lots of feelings, an entire spectrum of feelings. I'm sure that my friends and co-conspirators felt, and people who were in the audience also felt. Those feelings are such broad spectrum that they almost cancel each other out, and left me a little bit numb. But that's a personal point. I think General Magic was a peak experience. The highest, for me personally, and I think for many other people, the highest and the lowest. It was character building. The theme that you return to and that you spoke about, which is the next generation, which is represented here, doing it and fulfilling the vision, is the personal satisfaction, in some sense redemption, or a state of purpose that remains. And I think I speak for others the same, because they all left it on the field. They left it all on the field. And many, as your film showed, many went on to do great things, and are still doing great things.
Well, you talk about feelings and heroes, and I suspect that all of the audience agree with me that everybody on stage and many of these people in this room are our heroes. Tony, a question for you. We saw that you were, I think persistent is probably the diplomatic way to describe how you got your job
Pain
there.
in the ass, more like.
It sounds,
Crazy.
I won't use the word harassed, but it seems a little bit close. What was it that made you so adamant that this was the only place you had to work? Because surely there were other people doing heroic things and fascinating things at other companies you read about, or no?
Well, I was really an Apple devotee. It was all about apples, and that's what kind of made me who I was during high school and other things. And so the Mac and just tracking everybody, for me it was, okay, that team. That was the team. It didn't matter. I was just blinded.
Even without knowing what they were working on.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? That's the great thing about secrecy, is that you can have everything and get everybody's emotions going. We had to do the same thing with the iPod and other teams, and I learned that emotional skill from that experience. And it's incredible when you have a secret that no one else has. It's just amongst a group, and how much that really brings you together. And I think it's in today's always connected, all news, every millisecond we get another thing. We forget about that kind of special thing when it is secret. And
how did you all keep it secret for so long? I mean, how is that humanly possible?
Marc made us.
We won't ask that question.
Well, you should talk about your personal story.
But I just wanted to say that we would have kept it secret even longer if our licensees weren't so eager to emulate Scully and will almost lose their money on the introduction of the idea and their vision. So I think we would have benefited from keeping it under wraps longer, and perhaps having had a chance to do a pivot, because now it's a very common thing for a startup to pivot several times. But once you have come out and you have promised and you have announced with all these large companies, it's pivoting becomes much more difficult. So we didn't have some of the flexibility, I think, because we announced earlier than I would have liked to announce.
I think, Tony, the answer was you had no choice. I got that. Megan, a question for you. Typically, we're used to the tech world being quite male and quite white, or pale male and stale, as is often said. It doesn't seem to have been the case at General Magic. It looks like it was an incredibly diverse team. So I wonder, could you talk to us a little bit about that, a little bit about diversity in Silicon Valley now, and how do we make sure that everybody truly has a seat at the table?
Yeah, there's it's one of the greatest challenges is how do you stop diminishing the confidence of some people and lifting the confidence of others. And I think the storytelling is actually a negative contribution, where this one particular hero that matches this prototype is somehow doing all this. When in reality, it's been an amazing group of people for a long time. I mean, even one of the most incredible stories that hasn't been properly told yet is the story of a woman named Ada Lovelace. I mean, how many people in this room have ever heard of her? Right? So you guys have heard, that's maybe a third of us. But Ada, in 1842, came up with the idea of algorithms. And she said, I wish to bequeath to humanity a calculus of the nervous system, which is AI. She worked with Charles Babbage. And so the fact that she wasn't allowed to write that paper like Darwin at those times, she wrote a 55-page paper that was notes attached to a translation and signed it AAL, like J.K. Rowling. Because women, when they write things, no one will read it. Right, so the truth is this diminishing of women. And so I had this wonderful opportunity to interview Joanna on stage at the Makers Conference. And one of the things we did was we talked about who had signed the back of the Mac. And there were tons of women that you've never heard of. Debbie Coleman, right, who did the manufacturing. So this disappearing of who's been in the team and then telling the stories. And even when we watched the Jobs movie that you guys are depicted in, and Kate Winslet did a great job of portraying, an amazing job of portraying Joanna. I think you came out of the film and Jeremy, your son, said, Mom, did you really iron Steve Jobs' shirt? Did Joanna iron Steve Jobs? No. Like, why would we write this diminishing thing? You're like, no, Jeremy, I never ironed a shirt in my life. I said, what? Right? When we were late. And so why do we write some people as so heroic and others? And so right now, today, it's 15-1, boy programmers to girl programmers on television for children. So we're telling one group they do this and one group they don't. And so storytelling and telling the whole story and seeing the photographs of you guys from Rolling Stone, the women and men. Susan Kerr couldn't be here today, and we should talk about her. I want you guys to talk about her a little bit. But everything you see graphically is Susan. And so we have to know our heroes and men and women. We didn't do as well as on race. We had some people of color, but we really, it's one of the greatest things we have to achieve as humanity. I used to do things, crazy things, and I carry around Raspberry Pi. You gotta read boards or two. But I bring this around because
That's a little unusual, Megan, just so you know.
because you have to know what's inside, and you have to start to break it apart. You have to go in the lab. And why don't we do that in kindergarten? The good news is Muskogee Creek Tribe in Oklahoma is teaching robotics and Head Start with 3 and 4-year-olds, and Wyoming just voted to do computer science. So we're slowly getting there, computer science for all. And so that we'll just teach this at school, and it'll be a fluency. And so the kind of love that we had going into the lab and what you just saw on screen would be something you just do at school, and you don't do boring things, but you actually solve the Sustainable Development Goals for the UN at school and scrub them into what we're doing, because everybody could work on this stuff, and we could have creative confidence for everyone on the planet. What if 7 billion people were our colleagues? And that's what I hope for, and that's what this kind of vision of General Magic and these kinds of technologies really could do for us with the networks.
I feel really boring with a tissue and a credit card in my pocket. I need to have a really good think about that. It is so rare to have so many people who knew Steve Jobs together all in one place. And there have been so many, I think, misrepresentations about him. Joanna, you're passing the mic, but I was going to ask this one to you. Can you tell us a little bit about the Steve Jobs that you knew and loved?
Well, I think you were asking me before what were some of the misconceptions. And to continue on what Megan said, we did have a really incredible team on the Macintosh, and we had women who was our chief financial officer, a woman who was the head of manufacturing after we fired quite a number of guys who couldn't quite do it. By the way, her undergraduate was in English, so she was an English major, and she became the head of manufacturing for the Macintoshes. We had women engineers, and of course we had Susan Kerr, who's unbelievable twinkle in her eye and sense of humor, and her art really animates almost every device you see today, whether it's a computer or a mobile device. It was modeled, if it wasn't done by Susan, it was modeled after her work. So she's amazing, and she did receive one of the highest design honors in the United States today, so she couldn't be here as we're speaking, yes. And so we are sending her our congratulations. So, and there was never an issue of whether you were a woman, a man, black, white, Asian. Steve managed to make everyone feel part of a family, part of a community, part of a team, and we were all team members. And so I think that was one of his amazing achievements. And one other thing I wanted to mention is that people think that he was sometimes very hard on individuals who worked for him and with him. And I wanted to make sure that everyone understands that he was the hardest on himself. He never rested on his laurels, he never looked at history, he never looked in the past. His only goal was to make and prepare the next great thing. And so in doing that, he just wanted to bring everybody along. And if you couldn't do it, if you didn't have his stamina, and if you didn't have his enthusiasm, he didn't have as much empathy, because he did. He had that enthusiasm, he had that stamina, and he would, succeed, fail, try again, do many things, and do again. How many industries did he revolutionize? But it's just the fact that he had that amazing capacity, and you couldn't believe that someone else wouldn't. So I just wanted to make sure that people understood that it wasn't trying to demean people or not appreciate what they've done, because he just didn't look at the past.
Really interesting, thank you for that. And Andy, idealism is a really important thread in this film, and you're clearly a key part of that vision. Do you still think that tech can change the world?
Absolutely, for better and for worse. Well, we've seen it. When we were working on the Macintosh, it was really just a vision that computers could be tools for ordinary people. Here we are in 2018, and literally almost everyone, I bet everyone in the audience is if they don't have it with them, they've got their phone, and it's enriched their life in some way.
Totally. And Marc, you were very much the visionary here. You saw the future. And it was just fascinating as we were watching that footage, just hearing about all of the things that we use and touch today. Can you give us any insight into what the future holds for us now? This is a very light question at the end of the film. I didn't think I'd put you on the spot, so that's,
Am I really qualified to say anything about that?
I think so now. I don't know what the audience reckon, but yes.
For you film buffs out there, it should be known that when Kate Winslet was chosen to play Joanna Hoffman's the only person who was able to talk down Steve Jobs. He was otherwise sort of terrifying. Despite what you just said, terrifying personality, as you know from Reputation. Kate Winslet said she was scared to go talk to Joanna Hoffman. So that was my vice president of marketing. You can imagine the meetings. I can't. Yeah. I could ask some of the people who are sitting here are magicians. I could ask John Giannandrea, who ran artificial intelligence for Google and now does so for Apple. Because I think inside the kind of work that he and his colleagues represent is an answer to your question. And to Andy's point, both good and scary, mostly good. You could ask Kevin Lynch, who famously has done The Watch, and he's probably now thinking about embedded things in eyeglasses. Who knows what he's cooking up? And his colleagues, because they're sort of envisioning the future. You could ask about some of Tony Fadell's investments. He has 200 investments in various companies that range, I think, fundamentally in places where it could change the world, including the frontier that's always the frontier, which is genetics and biology. At the end of the day, the things that bind us that are really magical is that we don't know where we came from, and we don't really understand how these things called people function and how much we can hack the operating system. Those are the obvious places. I've just said things that are trite because everyone knows that to be true.
We're drinking it in. Whatever you say after that, I believe it. You can say practically anything now.
Donald Trump is not the future.
Right. Yeah. Definitely by that. Even though this is about technology, we're a little bit short on technology, so we'll take the mic back up at this end. And you were talking about biology. Time Out said that this film inspires big dreams at every turn. And given that Marc touched on biology, Sarah, I'd love to hear what the next big dream is for you, because I know that you're working in that field.
Well, yes, I'm very lucky. 2 companies here that I'm very close to, Antidote, helping patients connect to trials, cutting-edge treatments all over the world. It's been an amazing privilege to work with them. And most recently, I have a team over there, Chiron, deep learning team, working on early detection of cancer. So for me, this is where I'm putting my heart and my effort, and this is my dream, that we can have an impact on basically on the treatment and the diagnosis of cancer.
Magnificent. And if I could ask everybody in a sort of fairly short snippet what your next big dream is, I think that the audience would really love to hear that. Again, it's a case of sharing our technology and passing it along. Tony?
Next big dream?
Yes.
I
said my questions.
Yeah, it's your next big dream. There is just so much technology that people don't see. That can actually really change the world, that don't find the light of day because they can't get the right people to get interested in it, because these incredible engineers and scientists and researchers, they don't normally communicate with individuals in a typical way, like they just understand. They're really into the nuts and bolts. And for me, there's so many of those little things around the world that can dramatically make our lives better, safer, more secure. My role now is to try to find those and work with our team to make them the stars. And so whether it's computational synthetic biology, or we're doing things like meat without a cow, leather without cows, or making diamonds out of the air. Like, there's all these things that are going to come over the next 10 years. It's the slowest it's ever going to be right now. It's only going to speed up, and hopefully we can harness it and do more good, because we do have a lot of negative consequences. And I think the technology business is going to be dealing a lot with the negativity and the things that unintended consequences that came up, and we're going to be doing that now. But the other thing is taking the technologies we've created and applying them to agriculture and medical. Those are where all of, I think, the benefits are really going to come to. We have no idea the dramatic impact it's going to have.
I suspect everyone shares that. And if, by the way, leather not from the cow, I can tell you all about that later. Megan, the next big dream.
Yeah, so about those people who are unseen, 90% of venture capital goes to men, 75% goes to Silicon Valley, New York, and Boston, and 1% to African American people. And yet there's so much talent around the world. So for me, I'm really focused. I started a company called Shift 7, means and on a keyboard. 7 billion people, 7 oceans, 7 continents. How about we include everybody and figure out how to accelerate their dreams? We have so many problems. I was in Honolulu yesterday, and they did a simulation of 6 feet climate change water rise, and just the whole Waikiki, everything, tons of Honolulu underwater. We're headed that way, that's true. Right, so what are we doing about it? And all the things that Tony's talking, all we have is, we are the ones we've been waiting for, and it's all of us. And so whatever talent people would bring, and just by way of one simple example, applying this stuff to other places. So for example, an idea I have is called venture catalyzing. So just like venture capital doesn't make Twitter or General Magic, it helps. How do you come up underneath these entrepreneurs, and how do you also better share stuff that isn't scalable in the way of a tech company? Miami went from 7,000 people in prison to 4,900, closed a jail and saved $12 million. Because they figured out a simple way to route mental health and substance abuse in a different way with a 12-bed stabilization unit. How do we ship that to all the cities? So figuring out communities of practice. And so we learned how to do that in the White House, and I want to keep doing it and accelerating it. So whatever people's ideas are, I want to know about them and help you. We've got a couple of minutes left, but I'd love to hear a few final thoughts from each one of you. No?
I'd like to make a product announcement. The latest product release is from Audrey and Lucas. They're 5-month-old babies that I'm excited to my wife. And they're joining my 3-year-old Natalie. So that's my product announcement. And my hope for them, my big dream is that their life, which at this time is forecasted to be worse than ours, by a lot. Climate change, income inequality, other kinds of craziness, and velocity that we don't understand. The velocity of technology, the velocity of interaction between people in different cultures, all the issues. And my big hope and dream for that particular product release is that their life is better than ours.
Thank you. So a couple more things, and we'll hear from
Well,
Sarah.
as long as we're not talking about children, I'd like to brag about mine.
If anybody wants to get out their family photos, we don't have much time. But...
No, actually, this is very much related to what Megan was saying, and that is my son, who's 26, has for the past 4 years worked on a school which is aims at getting traditionally underrepresented minorities into technology through an accelerated 2-year program, which is free until they get a job, and then only then they start paying. And it's a full-fledged college with all the support and human support. It's not online where a lot of people do drop out. It is also online, but it is also actually putting in the blood, sweat, and tears to actually help people succeed from very different backgrounds, from whether it's underrepresented communities here in the United States, or whether it's the Middle East or Africa. So
Thank
just
you.
wanted to brag.
I'm going to take the microphone back this way. A couple more things. First of all, a quick call to action for everybody in the audience. If you enjoyed the documentary, and I have a strong suspicion that you did, could you please make sure that you go to the app and do it very quickly? I think the next 45 minutes. The film has an opportunity to win the audience award. Please give it your vote. And if you enjoyed it, do tweet to General Magic Move, MOV, or the Facebook page. I feel like I'm selling something now, but we need all of your support. There's a long way to go for the movie, and we'd love to have all of you with us. And I think the final word really is due to both Sarah and Matt, who made this incredible documentary. What are your hopes for the film? What is the lasting impression that you're hoping to leave audiences with who get to see this incredible documentary that you made about these incredible people who worked at General Magic?
Dream big. be persistent, and don't lose heart.
I'll be a little bit longer than that. I think my hope is that the film inspires people to go after those changes that you guys have vocalized so well. There are some huge problems in the world, and they will only be solved by us. If someone has failed in the past, and they watch this film and they look at it and go, okay, well, I just need to try it again, and I need to learn from those mistakes and work out how to do it better. That's what I hope that this film does, because we're the ones that are going to make a difference. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please join me in thanking this incredible lineup of people, everyone in the audience.